Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar this afternoon, Tech Toolbox, your back to school survival kit. My name is Jamie, and I am excited that you are taking time out of your very busy schedule as the school year gets started to visit and hang out with us today to see some tech tools that can help you get through this school year. So a couple of things before we get started. There is a QR code there on screen right now. Feel free to scan that on your phone, and it'll pull up the presentation that you're looking at now, so you have access to that immediately. Otherwise, you could also use the bit.ly that's listed right below that to get there as well. And this resource itself will be sent out to you following this webinar. So if you can't access it now, no worries, but if you would like to, it is there and available for you. Just to kind of kick us off and into the fun today, just a little FAQ to get us started. As I mentioned just a second ago, you will have access to this after the webinar is over today, but if you would like to visit all the other webinars that we've had, and there are lots, you could go to the resources page I listed there, vaieducation.org, and there is a number of on-demand videos for you to check out. And again, that bit.ly for today's is down there on the left if you would like access right away. So joining in with us today as well is Robin. Robin, do you want to say hi to everyone?
Absolutely. Happy back to school for most of you, or soon to be back to school. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Robin. So Robin's there just kind of help with the tech behind the wall and to see, and if there's anything that comes up along the way, she will help figure it out. So with that, we will jump in and get started. So I would just like to start by talking about the today, which is our VAI Educators Studio. And so if you are new to us, this is a great place to go and see the resources we have available on our website. And if you are not new to us, this is something new that we just recently added and we are super excited about. So go ahead and check it out. But what I'm most excited about today is to tell you that you can get an additional 20% off. Right now it's at a really low rate. It's a membership. It has a membership component, so you pay one fee and you have access to all the resources available all year long. Normally $20 or $19.99, but it's discounted right now down to $9.99. But with this special code here, thank you, it'll actually take off an additional discount. So your total there, as you can see the arrow pointing out, is $635. So that is a real steal. So I would encourage you to go check out VAI Educator Studio, and you can get there through our website. I'll link that again too. And please follow us. We always love adding more teachers to our list to share all the good things that we are doing. So, so with that, we'll jump right into some of that good with a question for you to get us started. Share with us, what do you teach? Go ahead and tell us what you teach. There's the poll up. You can pick one or more of the following: K5, 6, 8, 9, 12, admin, or other. I'll give everyone a minute to do that. That'll help kind of scope our conversation today. So Robin, when you feel like there's a good amount of people who have responded, feel free to jump in and share with us.
All right, we're closing it now. All right, so Jamie, we are at 46% 6-8, 38% K5, 19% 9-12, and 4% admin.
Awesome. All right, that sounds great. Okay, thank you, Robin. All right, so let's jump into those tech tools. Now, I had a really hard time because I had to narrow it down to 5 given our time that we have today, which is just a short 30 minutes. So the ones that I've selected for today are, and these 5 you see here. So ChatGPT, tried and true, been around, probably maybe one of the longest AI resources that are out there. And then Classroom Screen, School AI, Snorkel, and Suno. And so all of them offer a variety of different capabilities. So I wanted to show you a wide range of things. So we're going to jump in and get started with let's go with ChatGPT to kick us off. So one of the things I think it's best for is just, it's kind of like an idea factory, right? Is how I like to look at it. It can generate ideas around just about anything and everything. And it also is a wonderful place to go to create resources for your classroom. And so some of the highlights of that, I always like to look at it like it's a 24/7 brainstorming partner. If you have an idea and it's 10 o'clock, you might not want to call your coworker, you could definitely just type it into ChatGPT and it can pop out a lot of wonderful couple ways to answer that question you're wondering about. I really do think, and again, this is in my own opinion, but I think it's the best wide range, all-inclusive free tool that's out there. I would say its closest competitor, in my opinion, would be Gemini, and I love Gemini. It's Google-based. It's another wonderful version of an LLM, similar to ChatGPT. I will say Gemini, if you're looking to do picture generation, I actually prefer Gemini over ChatGPT, but all in all, ChatGPT is my go-to. Again, we're going to look at it for what a resource it can create for you in a second, and just coming up here. But one of the things I love the most is that if I need to generate a lesson or give it a specific example, or I need some mentor text to look at, it does that for us in a snap of a finger. We're going to look at how it generates a parent letter. And so on this next screen here, I put in this prompt. So I went to ChatGPT and I said, our school is getting ready to launch a new and innovative idea that creates student ownership and management over earned grades. We're doing these things called data binders. I gave it a little bit of information and context. And I also pointed out specifically what I was looking for. So I said there's going to be resources in the binders to help develop personal and class goals. And so I'm looking for a letter that I could send out to parents to kind of introduce them to this new process. And also I wanted ChatGPT in that letter to emphasize the positives that this initiative is about, and offer up ways that parents could get involved in getting kids excited or helping them at home with it. So I gave them that little prompt there, and it said, okay, here's a polished draft you could use and tweak with your school's branding, of course. It's parent friendly, upbeat, and emphasizes student ownership and partnership with families. So after it said that, it popped this out. And so this is the letter here, and I know it's written in small letters there. You can kind of see it in a small way, but it did all those things, right? And in just a second of time. So it talks to the idea of what they are, the data binders, how our school is starting this initiative, and then it gave a section on how families can help at home. So celebrate their progress, talk about goals, encourage reflection, and stay curious, right? And so ways to do that specifically. A nice closing positive paragraph. And then, of course, we could edit it to fit the specific needs of our school or me as their teacher. I love this because it can also, if you're depending on what kind of document you wanted, it does do docs pretty well. So if you're, or excuse me, Word docs. So if you're a Word person, it'll create a Word doc for you. All you have to do is just type in, hey, can you create this in a Word doc for me? Now, if you are a Google person, which is me too, and although I use ChatGPT, if you use Gemini for this, Gemini will actually create a Google Doc for you. So again, you'll kind of figure out which one you like better and how it's displayed and the information it gives back to you. But this is just a very small way of the work that ChatGPT can do. So think of it for resources that you need right now, maybe at the start of the school year, and all that back to school stuff that just takes a ton of time to do. Now you have that built-in assistant that can really help do the heavy lifting alongside of you. So take advantage of that, check it out. Really, all you have to do is go to ChatGPT. And I'm just going to show you really quickly because we have just some extra minutes here before we go to the next one. This is what it popped out. So you can see the prompt there. You can see that what I showed on screen and then the letter. But what I really love about ChatGPT is it'll also offer up some follow-up ideas that are really relevant. So at the bottom there, it said, do you want me to also create a student-friendly version of this letter? And if I just type in and it remembers my chats, I could say yes. And it will generate right in front of us a student-friendly version. So here's the student-friendly version, kind of coming from that student perspective, and I can see on screen here what it did. And again, try it out. There's a bazillion things that it can do and it's capable of doing, and I really, really think it's one of the best things out there for idea generation. The next one I wanted to talk to is this idea of classroom screen. And so I have to give a shout out to some teacher friends over in Jonesville, Michigan, who actually showed this to me when I was at a recent PD with them. I love it. It's got, it's basically like the thing I always wanted in the classroom, where it's a screen where I could put up things that I knew my class was going to be doing that day. For example, I'm going to click on this here so we can get right to it. I will show you live what it looks like. So it looks like this. So it's basically just a screen, but it has some interactive abilities. So I'm going to put up a QR code here. Feel free to answer the question. So let's think of a student hat on if we're doing a question of the day. Okay, so maybe when our students come into the classroom, we have them warm up with their thinking with the question of the day. And so the question I posed is, if you had to eliminate one of the following from human history, which would cause the greatest change to the world we know today? So go ahead, if you're at home and you have your phone on you and available, go ahead and scan that QR code. And then I will show you live what happens when you make your choice there. So you got some options when you scan in there. It'll show you that question. You'll get to choose. You make your selection, and it will pop up on the screen. I see some are interacting with it now, and you can kind of see that behind the wall there. I'm going to play along myself here. Which one do I think? Ooh, it's a tough question. Great question. All right, let's see what happens. Now I'm gonna just close this a second so we can see how everyone answered. Okay, so far. So it's really cool because it shows you live in action what the answer to that question is. I can reset the question if I want to do that. I could lock the question so I don't have to, so I can close the voting. Lots of different options there. It tells me how many of my students have actually answered the question. And then I should say your navigation bar is down here. So all these things that are down here, you can add right onto your screen. So just a little class message over here. You could also do I love this, a random name selector. So let's just try that out. So I input my class list, right? And so that's always there. And now if I want to generate a name just to call in somebody randomly, it'll do that for me. All right, so that's pretty cool. And then there's a visual timer here. I put up the morning schedule here. I could also do a volume regulator. It kind of just picks up on the sound in the room and shows students in the red, when it gets in the red, that they're being too loud. So there's lots of different options. Like I said, check this out. Again, you can just have this on your screen in front of the class for the whole day if you wanted to. I think it's just a great go-to for classroom management and just the day-to-day things that we know that we have to put up for students to see and to get our day started. So that one is called Classroom Screen. And as many of you have probably noticed, these are linked. So if you ever click, so if you click here, this is linked. So when you're into the presentation, you can click there and sign up for just sign up to join. And then all these are free. So you're seeing free versions of everything today, which is another key to the tools when I chose them for this webinar. Number 3, we're going to talk about School AI. So I know many of you have probably heard of School AI, and maybe not, but one of there's so many features with it. It's also a resource generator. It can create a lot of resources. It can do a ton of different things that are all related to teaching and learning. And so I love the specificity of it, but I also love, in particular, this safe student AI interaction tool called Sidekick. And so go ahead if you want to play along with this one. There's a new QR code there. That's going to scan, if you scan that, it's going to take you to a Sidekick. And I'm going to bounce out to that in just a minute. But the Sidekick icon looks like this. So when you get to School AI, you're going to see something that looks like this. Now, what I did is I posed a way for my students to interact. And so it's safe, it's closed, nobody can access the information within it except for you. So it's kind of like, look at it as closed walls between you and your students. It's not, the information is going absolutely nowhere. That is one of the reasons why I really like it. If I go over here to School AI, I want to just show you what it looks like on my end as the teacher. So let me go back just a second so you know the prompt. And again, if you scan that QR code, you can play along with us. But here was the prompt that I gave students. So excuse me, that I gave Sidekick. I said, my class of 9th graders, we're learning about photosynthesis. I want you to engage in a chat with them by pretending to be the leaf. Respond in an appropriate voice using words and phrases that this character would use and expressing their point of view. I also talked about, like, I wanted the bot to keep the answers relatively short to approximately 100 words. And then as the chat progressed, I wanted to make sure it guide them to learn and understand rather than having it give an answer. So let's jump in and see what that looks like here. Okay, let's go over to this. Now, here's the teacher side of it. So as you're participating, all of your students are here, okay? So anything that that they would type in, you can actually see right here live in action. So it also pulls up when it notices some kids, like some things that they thought stood out, good or bad. And so we can see like Allison participating is she's kind of how she feels. She's feeling neutral. She expressed that. It shows that here. And again, I can click on any student here that has participated in this chat and see how they responded specifically, but also it'll pick up on things if students are trying to like, what do I want to say, break it in a sense, trying to get it to give it the answer, it'll tell me that on this dashboard here. So a really, really awesome tool that is safe to use in the classroom if you want a brainstorming partner for your students. Okay, so love that. And again, feel free to jump into that and discover a little more about that. It is really a wonderful tool. And probably one of the best free ones that I think is out there right now if we want to put AI, you know, a brainstorming partner AI form in front of our students. Another one that I absolutely love is called Snorkel. Now, this is great for, I like to look at this like learning made visible. So it really does give you a visual of how your students are answering a question in lifetime. So it'll show it to you live. It's a great formative assessment tool that you could use in your tool belt of all the other things you already are doing. But I love it because, and I'll show you in a second, we could ask it any question. We could create the question on what essentially looks like a whiteboard, and we can set that question up. And then what we could do is we can send that link out to our students. And when we send that link out to our students, the cool thing is they will get that link. They will just scan it or on their Chromebook or however, whatever access they have. And then what will happen is that question will pull up. So I love it because it does a lot of things. It's great for language learners, maybe with some processing differences. So because you can see what they're doing on screen, they could actually draw on it. They could speak into it. And so there's lots of flexibility there, but this is what it'll look like. So if I pulled up a blank whiteboard and I created a question, maybe the question was, would you rather use a spoon or a fork to eat macaroni and cheese? Give 2 reasons to support your choices. And then what I would do, was just to kind of show you what that looks like on the actual resource itself is, so I should say, maybe I'll go back here a second and just say, so what it does is it says, kind of you get signed up, you log in and create an account, takes a second. And then from there, you go over to what says, try a sample activity. And that's what I did. The mac and cheese question was already built there for me. So, so that's a practice question. There's a lot of them that you could practice if you want to see how they work. Try them out in that section there. But then the actual work came in here. So I had a student respond to this question and to see what that looks like. So the question again is already there on the screen. They are coding in and they're kind of seeing what that looks like, doing some thinking, and then the magic happens in the response. So I'll play that. Hopefully you can hear here.
It's easier to gather the food, right? It's easier to gather your scrumptious mac and cheese. But if you use a fork, I feel like it's easier to grab like macaroni. So long distance, or like when you're vibing with your macaroni,
so we can kind of see how it kind of talks to whatever that my student is saying, it's capturing it. The cool thing over on the right here is that it'll actually give feedback. So when they submit their answer, their response, it'll give immediate feedback. So it'll tell you exactly where that is. So at 43 seconds, great job clearly choosing the spoon and explaining that it helps you gather mac and cheese more easily. So it'll give some feedback there. At a minute and 2 seconds, it states I like your second reason, and it states why. I could also, if I'm, and maybe I have some students who are pre-readers, I could actually play this too. So they can click this.
Great job clearly choosing the spoon and explaining that it helps you gather mac and cheese more easily.
Right, so if I want them to hear the feedback, I can have them just press that speaker button and it'll actually have them play the feedback. Now, what it'll also do is it lets them respond again if I choose that in the settings. So they can respond several times, so they can get the feedback and then utilize the feedback and do it again. And I think that's so powerful because as teachers, we know it's really, really hard for us to get to all of our students, give them all the feedback that they need in a timely manner. So I really love Snorkel for that. Now, the free version of this is awesome. It does, all of these with the free versions do have limits, but in saying that, there's a lot of wonderful accessibility with those restrictions. So try the free version out. Maybe you'll fall in love with something and you will choose to purchase the monthly subscriptions. But really, I found great use out of all these in their free form. So that's another one I love for giving, or for my students getting feedback. And again, like I said, you can totally customize this. So you don't have to do one of those free ones. Of course, you can create your own and then send that out to students. So another great way to capture student learning and without having to be the one giving the feedback. And then there is another wonderful resource out there, very different than what we have seen. And this one is called Suno. So Suno is a creative song generator. And so it too is free with limits, but I love the way it actually can turn anything that my students write into a song. So you could give it the text, or you could have it generate text on a certain topic. So for those of you out there who may have a favorite, there's Taylor Swift on the left and there is Kanye West on the right. But what I did with ChatGPT first is I said, I asked ChatGPT to craft a song about adding fractions in the style of Taylor Swift, especially for fourth graders. And I said, make it have a catchy tune and do it to one of Taylor Swift's songs. So it came back with, and for those of you who are Swifties out there, you may recognize this song, Shake It Off. So if you were reading the lyrics that it provided, you can actually like hear the tune of that play out for Add It Up. And so there's what it came back with. And so so then I said, okay, now let's say that I have a class of high schoolers who are learning about trigonometry. Can you create a rap in the style of Kanye West? And it did. And so ChatGPT came up with a rap with lyrics similar to what it did for Taylor Swift's Add It Up. And so then what I did is I was like, oh, this is really cool, but I learned about this Suno, right? And I was super excited about the Suno. So I was like, let's take it over to Suno. So I kind of worked with ChatGPT, took the lyrics from there, and I copied them, and then I went over to Suno. And what I did with Suno is I pasted those ideas into Suno. Now Suno looks something like this, and actually when you first sign up, it's going to look more like this until you tell it what to do. So I always like to show this part because it can it's a very busy screen. But what you'll do in the simple version is you could just kind of describe something. Okay, so you can say maybe that you want a, let's see, let's go to create a song about going back to school. Make it geared for teachers. And right there, now hit create. We'll see what it comes up with. So it usually gives me at least 2 different options, right? So it's creating 2 at the same time. And then we can see back to the chalkboard. Let's brave this one and hear what it came up with. Now remember, I didn't give it any style or anything like that. It gave it a little description, energetic with a touch of nostalgia, acoustic pop. So let's see what happens here. I'm gonna go play, and you can see the lyrics are always over here.
The bell rings loud, it's a brand new start. A classroom canvas and on the art. Markers on cap, plans in my hand. Chasing dream through lesson plans. A death awaiting roles don't need. The years are puzzle we're here to complete. Back to the chalkboard, stories unfold. Minds to ignite, hearts to love.
So pretty good, right? If you want the rest of that song, email me. I'd be happy to send you the link so you can access it forever. But that's just an example. And remember, I didn't put very much information in for that. I could be very specific, like I'm going to show you now. We're talking about the rap with Kanye West, right? And so on trigonometry, which seems really distant from each other, right? But it created something that I thought was rather catchy. So we'll listen to this now. Again, remember these lyrics I was able to put in, and actually before I play that, I'll just show you that too, because I know it can be hard to find. So if I go back here, and it says there's a simple version and then there's a custom version. If I want to put lyrics in, I'm going to go to that custom version and I'm going to paste my lyrics here. So that's where you can find that. And that's what I did for this one here. So we'll listen to this one. Remember, those are lyrics from ChatGPT on trigonometry.
Yo, Yo. Yo, we saw effective lines in motion, direction and magnitude smooth like lotion, in 2 dimensions of maybe 3. Vectors guide us, set our path free. Trigonometry, it's like poetry. Sines and cosines defined on the screen. Angles and ratios in harmony. Math symphony for you and me.
So pretty awesome, like I said, and a rabbit hole, because you will find yourself creating for long hours into the night over lots of different things, and your students will absolutely love this resource. So I encourage you to try that out, jump in, and maybe have yours, maybe make it a competition for students to come up with the best song around, you know, this given topic. We just had teachers doing it. One teacher thought that they had to teach the rock cycle, and they thought it was a very boring topic. So they're like, let's create a rock song around teaching the rock cycle. And I thought that was a really creative way to make something that might not be very fun to add an element of fun to it. So another thing you could try out using Suno and ChatGPT together. And you're probably feeling like we just saw a quick, and I mean, this was, how many minutes are we? We're in about 25 minutes in, and we just saw 5 wonderful tools that I really do think really fit in our tool belt as a teacher really well. The variety there, and also, you know, kind of a go-to. And I would say another one that I didn't get time to show today, but I recommend is try out Gemini. If you have an image you want to create, it does a really good job of creating images quickly. And so ChatGPT also does a good job of that, but it just takes a little bit longer. So try out both, put them in competition with each other, see what you like better. But my goal here for everyone listening is just to try something, and I think you'll be really surprised by how much time it saves you. I always say, you know, if there's a gift I could give teachers, it is the gift of time, and I think we're getting close with AI on how and ways that it can save you time and energy, because you find, of course, yourself, this is a career that involves a lot of time and a lot of energy, and so anything we can find to make it more efficient, all the better. So before we wrap up today, I want to just point out again, please visit, use our code thank you to save 20% on any of our products. You can go to VAI Education, and that will take you there. Those are linked there too. You can follow us on social, but again, awesome deal if you're interested in getting all of our products. And one thing I didn't mention earlier, you can kind of see here on the screen, if you were to purchase a lot of these products individually, they can add up, right? But for the entire year right now, you can get them for the low price of $635. So use that code on top of the discounts already provided. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask me. I'm always an email away, and I love hearing from all of you. So please reach out, let me know how I can help you. And I hope you have the best and most innovative school year yet. And thank you for the work you do every single day. Bye, everyone.